There you go. Can y'all hear me now? Sorry about that. That little mute button likes to get me. Let me fix my thing right here. Where is it? All right. Thank you. Welcome for coming tonight. This lovely Friday. I hope that you had a good week. This is Activism Across the Nation. Thank you for joining me. If this is your first time, welcome. This is the Activism Across the Nation, okay, brought to you by the National Plus Coalition. Please add us. Let me put the banners up for y'all. Give me 1 second. How has your week been? It is another lovely Friday. I hope that y'all have been taking care of yourselves. Got you some time to yourself to relax and breathe, unwind, step away for a second. You know, self-care is very important because this is a marathon and not a sprint, right? Let's see here. I'm trying to bring up these things for you so we can have them. There you go. Let me see. All right, we're ready. So if you're new here, I already did the new. If this is you're coming back again, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. So, it's time to get right into it. Last week, we got to showcase the positive things. And by positive, I mean our achievements, the things that we got to, see some resolution on, some things that people have been fighting for, and they are getting the justice. So remember, not only do we want to take time to celebrate those things so that they can keep us inspired and keep us striving, but we also want to use the things that are successful to our advantage. So if you're looking at something that might have happened in another state and you're dealing with a case that is similar, you can see what those people did to see if you can aid in what you're working with. We always have to make sure that we're not trying to recreate the wheel. If someone is doing something and it's effective, of course, that is something that we want to make sure that we want to, implement and share with others. That's how we're going to win this fight, by using what works, right? So what I want to start with is I want to talk about conflict resolution. So, this show, as I go along, I want to add things to it that's really going to add and make us better activists, better social justice, seekers and things like that. So conflict resolution is very, very important, right? In any type of organization, group, even coalitions, all of that, even plus it are included, conflict resolution is very important. And it even extends outside of that. Conflict resolution within your family is a good thing. Everyone has different types of experiences, attitudes, personalities. People have things going on in their lives, and just everyone's different. So it can be difficult when a lot of people come together, for them to work cohesively all the time. Challenges may come. So that's where conflict resolution comes in. Conflict resolutions assist people in being able to do exactly what it says, resolve their conflict. And it also aids in the ability of how you talk to people. Sometimes delivery can change up something so much. It can give you a totally different result than you would have gotten from, doing it a different way. So learning how to communicate with each other is very important when you're trying to get work done, you're trying to work together and things like that. So conflict resolution and communication go hand in hand. We want to, and I noticed that another thing that can assist us when it comes to talking to people is just having compassion. Having compassion and humility is something that assists when it comes to talking to folks and getting better understanding and caring about how you communicate. So these are some things that can assist us as activists and social, justice seekers, and even just people day to day. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. So we're going to get right into this. So the first thing I want to talk about is last week I was talking about SB 149, right? SB 148. But I have an alibi, and that is it is SB 149. Now, SB 148 was a bill that was going on, but the particular bill that I was speaking about then was SB 149. So I just wanted to let y'all know that. So SB 149 is that bill, and that is a bill that they are trying to pass in Delaware that will make it to where officers are being held accountable for the things that they're doing, right? That is one of the big things that we're fighting for, is accountability. That is what's lacking. And that definitely, it aids in the reason to why there are so many people that are being killed and shot and murdered by the police, because there's no accountability. So we're hoping to get that bill passed in Delaware. That's SB 149. That's very similar to the bill that got passed in California, California just recently, that was doing the same thing. So if you are in another state and Leobor or police lack of accountability is something that's an issue, I would suggest that you check out the bill that just got passed in California, and let's not recreate the wheel, but use what's there and use that as a tool to maybe get some legislation changed in your area. So tonight is going to be a bit of a hard show, because I'm going to be talking about police involvement with children. Now, it's already hard enough that adults are being mistreated and killed, murdered by the police, but it doesn't stay with just us. It goes down into our children. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys some things that have happened when it comes to the police and children, okay? So I'm going to give y'all a heads up just in case for some trigger warnings. So the first young lady that I want to talk about, her name is Fanta Bellitti. I hope that I'm saying her last name right. And I'm going to read to y'all exactly what's going on with that. But she is 8 years old, or she was 8 years old, and she was killed in Delaware City. Again, her name is Fanta Bellitti, right? Now, with this, I'm going to also be able to show y'all how media is very, very important. And that's why it's important that if you have the ability to be a journalist in any capacity, I would suggest that you do, because we have to put the real stories out there. We have to make sure that our narratives are true to self, because the media is definitely used against us. Some on purpose and some are just biased and unbeknownst to them, right? So in this particular case, the first thing that I read about it, it said that the police admitted that they shot into this family's vehicle without probable cause, right? But the next time that I started to read about it, it was saying that this vehicle probably got hit by bullets because the police was attempting to hit an unarmed gunman, right? So one of the things that happens in the media is when the stories get twisted up and lies are put out, sometimes when people hear news, they just go off of the first thing that they hear, and that sticks to them, because a lot of people trust the news, right? And a lot of times this information comes from the police, and the police don't always tell the truth, right? We have proof after proof after proof of that happening. So they don't always tell the truth. The reporter takes the word of the police officer. We should be able to trust police officers, right? They should have integrity and that high of a standing, but they don't. So, but the reporters take this information and they report it, and then people read it and they take it as truth. So when the truth starts to come out, no one's paying attention. They're listening to the first thing that they heard. Everyone doesn't have a mind to be able to get past their first impression or to do the research and stuff like that. That's just the way it is. So media is very important when it comes to this. So I encourage any journalists that are into investigating journalism or just anything like that to get into it, because we need to have our voices out there. Okay, so let me read to you the initial report that they said. So this is coming via Sean King, okay? Fanta was brutally shot and killed by police from the Sharon Hill Police Department in Pennsylvania, Delaware County, okay? Right outside of Philadelphia. Her family was leaving a high school football game when a car turned a corner and police unloaded onto the car, also shooting Fanta's sister, who is a child as well. So not only did they kill one child, they shot another child. They shot into this vehicle, right? Of course she was unarmed, but let us say that because some people will play ignorant, right? And nonviolent. Her whole family was. They broke no laws and committed no crimes. Police then lied, right? And said it was a shootout. Her family was just driving their car. It wasn't a shootout. Now the police admit that they heard gunfire blocks away and that they just started firing at a random car with a whole family inside of it as they turned the corner. And as a result, this girl was killed and her sister was shot. So this was the initial thing that came out, right? So let me let you know what comes out a few days after that. Media is very important. I'm about to show you exactly why, right? So that was the initial thing. That was something initial that came out. So let me bring up, hold on, let me find her. I'm gonna find her now. Give me a moment. But yeah, they completely switched up what they said happened. I'm gonna try to find it. I don't know what happened. Let me see. And that will be coming from the Inquirer. So I'm trying to find it now so I can read to you how it completely changed. All right, here we go. So this is from the Inquirer, and this is how they headed. Police likely killed 8-year-old Fanta Belletti when returning fire outside of Adelco school football games. So you see how they changed it to likely killed, right? It wasn't likely, they killed her. Okay. It's all these words, how things are worded, how they're presented. None of that stuff is on accident. Okay. Words are very powerful and important in the way that they lock into our minds. Okay. All right. This is what they say. Police officers probably fired the shots that killed 8-year-old Fanta Belletti when they fired at an unidentified gunman who had been shooting out of a crowd. This is how they changed it, right? Hold on. Investigation has determined that the 3 Sharon Hill officers, whom he did not name, why can't we have their names? That's another thing that Leobor and things like that prevent from happening. Putting the names out that happen with people and officers, things that the community deserve to know, right? Let's go. Likely, okay. The Sharon officers, whom they did not name, likely shot and wounded 3 other people during the incident last Friday. Likely. They did shoot them. They did shoot these other people. You see how to use that word likely? They play with your mind. Absolutely ridiculous. He says, Stolzheimer, that's the guy that's over the whole thing, acknowledges that authorities have a lot more work to do and did not announce any charges for the officers or anyone else connected to the case. So these officers initially put out that, they shot into this random car. I don't even know why, because it don't make no sense. Shot and killed this girl, wounded her sister, and shot and wounded like 3 other people. And there's no charges. We can't even know their names. Anyone that's interested in finding out more about Fanta Belletti, please make sure that you text 914-655-4993 and text Fanta in the subject. 1 second. All right, so next. So we have, this is out of Michigan. We have a 6-year-old boy. Okay, he goes into cardiac arrest and he dies after staff at a residential facility restrain him. His name is Cornelius Frederick, right? This staff includes an officer. I'm going to read you about this one. Another Chavez killed at the hands of police. And this is via MSN. A 16-year-old Michigan went into cardiac arrest and died after several staff members of the residential treatment facility that he stayed at restrained him, right? Now, the thing about this is they restrained him in a first of all, they have, every place has rules and regulations, including the police, right? And these regulations that they have at this particular facility says that they aren't allowed to do certain things, but they did it anyway. And the issue, again, is accountability. So not only are they doing this to our adults, they're doing this to our children, right? So this is via MSN News. Cornelius Frederick was staying at Lakeside Academy, a residential treatment facility in Kalamazoo, Michigan, intended for young adults from 12 to 18. Now, this again goes to how things are worded. Young adults. A 12-year-old is not a young adult. A 12-year-old is a child. But when it comes to black and brown faces, they don't want to view us as children. They always trying to make us seem, I don't know what, I mean, I know what it's about. You know what I mean? That's the MO of that. So they're saying, so even those words, I'm just pointing out to you how the media words things to try to make it go into their favor, okay? So intended for young adults aged 12 to 18. I don't even know why 12-year-olds are being housed with 18-year-olds. That sounds highly inappropriate. Through the foster care system by their parents to receive behavioral health services, okay? So this is a facility that helps those that need assistance with their behavioral health. You know, the children, they need help too as well, right? So on April 29th, Frederick allegedly threw a part of his sandwich at another residence. Kids do that. They're kids. And the Lake staff used improper restraint on him, which resulted in him going into cardiac arrest. What kind of restraint are you doing to this 16-year-old child? Overthrowing a sandwich that he goes into cardiac arrest. Do you know how hard it is to make somebody go into cardiac arrest? And they did that to him. He died 2 days later. Of course, the family is going to sue. In the full report provided to CNN, officials said that staff initiated restraint that was significantly disproportionate to Frederick's behavior, and the facility did not follow its own restraint policy. So they broke their own policy. Nothing is coming from that yet. We're at no accountability. Absolutely ridiculous. If you would like to know more about that particular case, you would like to get involved, you want to text that number 914-655-4993 and type Cornelius, and we'll send you more information on that. Give me 1 second. I think I might be having a connectivity issue. All right, I'm back, y'all. Sorry about that brief delay. I hope that y'all can see me. I think we might be having a little connectivity issues. If we are, please excuse that. We're hoping, we are recording it. So if we are having issues now, we hope to be able to run it back so we can be right back on track. So let me keep going, unfortunately. Yes, this list is still a list. So police shot and murdered a young man by the name of Stevian Rodriguez, okay, 15 years old. And this is out of Oklahoma, according to the Washington Post. So I'm going to read y'all an insert from the Washington Post. Stevian Rodriguez squeezed his 15-year-old body through a drive-through window of a gas express store, poking his hands out first so the police could see that they were empty. He jumped to the ground, holding his hands in the air, and he lifted his shirt to reveal that he had a gun tucked in the front of his waistband. Using the tips of his thumb and his index finger, so like this, grabbing it like this, he picked up the end of the barrel far from the trigger. So he's got the barrel. If you're holding a firearm like this, let me turn my fingers like this by the barrel, your finger is nowhere near the trigger. So you are not a threat with that, right? And he dropped it onto the pavement. Rodriguez then reached for his rear pocket, and then a volley of bullets burst out and the teenager sank to the ground. Surveillance camera footage shows. Dozens of Oklahoma City police officers have responded to the call. 5 of them shot 13 bullets into the teen from his head to his feet. Now, this is the kicker. So some people might be like, oh, maybe they didn't know he was a child and all of this other stuff, even though he had came out and showed his hands and took the weapon out of his waistband in a way which would communicate to me of sound mind, right? Police officers are supposed to be sound of mind. That would communicate to me that you could see that he's not trying to be combative, that he's trying to do what he has to do to get out of the situation alive, right? That's what I would interpret that to mean. But that's not what happened. So to expand on that, they say they knew he was a child. They were joking about whether he was in there calling his mother, in there being the building that he had climbed out of. So they were joking if he was in there calling his mom. So they knew he was a child, right? And this was via body camera. And she said not one time in this audio did they talk about how they could resolve the situation in a way that didn't heed deadly force. The 5 officers who fired lethal shots into the child are now, though, facing first-degree manslaughter charges. So, again, we know we got to make sure that we keep up to this. We got to keep our eye on this particular fight, because if we don't, it might just slip through the cracks, okay? So if you want to get involved in that one and get some information, go ahead and text that number right there, 914-655-4993, and I'll be sure to get some information to you, all right? We have to make sure that we are the things that we can get involved in. We want to make sure that we're doing that, because the more people involved, the more exposure, the more chance it is, the more, benefit it is to that particular case that it might get the justice that it deserves. Now, we all know that it's absolutely ridiculous that we have to fight like this, but that's what we're doing right now. So we got to continue to keep up that good fight and, keep winning the races, right? So another young man, Adam Toledo, he was shot in the chest in Chicago. He was 13 years old. All right. The police say that he had a weapon in his hand, and his attorney says he does not. The case is still in the investigation stage. Okay. Now we got our picture support. I want y'all to see the pictures of the other kids that were violated and murdered by the police. We got Fanta first. Fanta Bellitti, 8 years old. All she was doing was driving with her family from a football game, minding their business. The police shot and murdered her and injured her sister, right? Then we got Cornelius Frederick, another child that's getting no justice, out of Michigan. They restrained him to the point for throwing a sandwich. Kids have temper tantrums all the time. I think I've had a kid throw a sandwich at me before. They restrained him to the point that he had a cardiac arrest. Now he's gone and nothing's happening about it. So if you can get involved, we definitely want to get involved. Now I want to read this for y'all from the Washington Post, okay? And it says a Washington Post database of fatal force incidents find most children shot by the police are minorities and are less likely to be armed than adults shot by police. So the children that they are choosing to shoot are black and brown children. Those are the ones that are getting shot the most. They are seeing our children as aggressive and as a target and as an enemy. And it's really sad. And the saddest part about it is, even though after they do the wrong thing, they are still protected. We don't even get to know their names. We don't even get to know their crimes or anything like that. And they aren't getting charged. If I did any of these things, I would be in prison right now. Why is it that police are above the law? Why? Because from the conception of the police back in the slave control and stuff like that, they were created on some bullshit. So that's why it's still what it is. They made the laws to protect themselves because they was doing the wrong thing. So they made the law so they could violate people and do what they want. But it's a law, so I'm not doing anything wrong. The fact that from conception, it was made to violate people, to do the wrong thing, shows even more that reform is a big thing that needs to happen there. And some people say, well, we need to defund the police. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. We're not saying that the police shouldn't get paid for doing the job. They shouldn't get paid for doing the job. First of all, if they're not doing it well, they shouldn't get paid for a job if they're being murderers and things like that. Of course not. But a lot of money that goes into them can be going into making the community better, making different things work that would make it to where the system of things will be better. They're getting some people, some in New York, I think New York and California are the ones that get the most money. They get so much money. And the crazy thing is, like, the money that they spend it on, like they get, like in Delaware, they got these little things that you ride on. You like get on it and it has two wheels. Like they funded the police with them before they funded them with body cams. How does that make sense? That don't make any damn sense. It's like they get all this money and they don't know what to do with it. And then why do you need a brand new vehicle? You don't need a 2021 anything. Your 2019 runs just fine. It doesn't make any sense, right? So that's what people mean by defunding police. Like make the money count. Training. They barely train to be a doctor, to be a nurse, to be even in the military. Like all of these things take a significant amount of training. And they barely get any training. And then we're wondering why they're around here killing and murdering people, because they're not taught any damn different. Killing our children, man. We got to make sure that we're getting involved with that. So let's talk about some wrongful convictions. I'm supposed to be having a guest this evening. His name is Leon Benson, and he's wrongfully convicted, and he's been down for almost 25 years. And excuse me. And hopefully he'll be able to call in this evening. He's projected to call in, and he's going to just talk to us about, how it's been under those types of circumstances. He is proclaiming his innocence, and he has been from the beginning. He has evidence as far as eyewitnesses and things like that prove that he wasn't where they're saying that he was and that he had no involvement. However, he's still there. He's still there and has been there. One of the issues that one of the things that has stopped that is no one wants to help him. Nobody wanted to help him. Nobody wanted to listen. And there's a lot of people that are incarcerated and wrongfully incarcerated or have been given an extreme amount of time that feel the same way and have the same hardships. Not everybody that's in prison is guilty, and that is a fact. And so we're going to talk about that, but that's his case. Another wrongful conviction we have is Princess Pons. Okay, another man targeted because he had been incarcerated before, but he had came home, was doing his thing, had a job, had a home, had a vehicle, living the American dream. He was targeted. All he did was put in an insurance claim because somebody ran into his car, right? He gets targeted. They think immediately that's he's a criminal. Go in there and violate this man. He protects himself. And now he's been behind bars under some trumped up charges that he has proof of that are untrue. And not only does he have that proof, when he tried to present this proof to the people that could do something about it, what's going on with him, they're giving him a hard time because they're saying he didn't get it to them quick enough. That don't make any sense either. This man is incarcerated. So he doesn't have really any real say on how quickly he gets things. I think that it should be that judges should not be allowed to do that. They should not be allowed to not take evidence because they feel like the timeline took too long. Like there should be no end on how long someone can prove that they're innocent. It absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely. Let me see. We got some more wrongful convictions. We got Kwame Teague out of North Carolina. He's been down for 30 years. There's no evidence linking him to any crime. And the major person that's saying, oh yes, he was with me, is his co-defendant, that he isn't even, they weren't even friends. They weren't even associates. They were known to be adversaries. And then when he goes to appeal, and then his lawyer decides, he's like, I'm innocent. His lawyers decide to tell him he's guilty, or, plead for him guilty. And he's young, and he's like, and he's like, yo, we got you, we got to get the death penalty off it. Trust us. You're supposed to. He's young. He doesn't know any better. Of course, he's going to trust these lawyers that's telling him this is what we got to do. They didn't even tell him they was going to do it beforehand. It was a surprise to him, right? So then he gets convicted. He tries to do appeals. He's, trying to do the appeal process. Then he finds out his whole court dockets is missing. What does that mean? It's a little stenographer. They be in there and they're supposed to type exactly what's going on. That's a record thing. That's by law. That's how they keep a record of that. That whole thing is missing. This whole time, money spending, right? Then when they finally reply back to him, they like, oh, well, we reconstructed it for you. I don't know how you can reconstruct something that happened in live time. It's impossible. And it proved to be so, because they can prove that all the evidence and stuff wasn't even there. And it doesn't matter. So now he still sits there. Another wrongful conviction. Now, any of these convictions that I talked about, if you want to get involved and see what you can do to try to assist in getting them the justice that they deserve, all you got to do is text that number 914-655-4993, and I will send you a list of those that I know that are wrongful convictions, and you can do more research into them and see which one it is that you might want to get involved with. Now, remember that you want to pace yourself. You can't get involved with everything. You can't all do it all, so you want to make sure that you're pacing yourself and the things that you get involved in. That way you can, give it your full effort, because you don't want to just spread yourself so thin that it affects you physically, but also, you want to be able to put your best foot forward when it comes to assisting in the social justice fight. You don't want to give 5 minutes. You want to be able to devote your time and your resources wisely. So making sure that you pace yourself and the things that you get involved with is very important. Okay. So our caller should be calling in about 5 minutes. If you haven't followed me, please do follow me. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the J Rene. You can also follow Plus Nation on Instagram. Hold on, let me change the banner up. There you go. right there. You want to make sure that you add us, and that's how you're going to stay connected with us. That's how you'll be able to be reminded about this show here, Activism Across the Nation, but also the other shows. And also we do seminars and things like that, and those be open to the public. So we would love to have you there, love you come to check it out, or maybe even get involved. So you can follow the National Plus Coalition on Instagram and on Facebook. I got it on. Let me see. Put it on the bottom for y'all. There we go. Show you how to add us on Facebook so you can stay connected with us and the things that we got going on. I want to touch on something again, okay? So, you know, in this social justice fight, it's a lot. You know what I mean? It's a lot of moving parts. The part that I want to talk about is doing it for the right reasons, right? Everybody here is here for different reasons, but the common reason should be because we want to make a change. It should be coming from our hearts, right? Now, some of us hearts just brought us here, and some of people's hearts were drug here. And what I mean by drug here is someone in their family was violated, or someone in their family was murdered or hurt or harmed in a way that is just unconstitutional or wrong. And because of that, they began to fight for justice for their peoples, right? So they end up in social justice, because once you get into this, there is really no walking away. It's like once you tap in, you're tapped in. So you might start for just what's going on with you personally, but then before you know it, you're touching and tapping and seeing other things. Like you can't help but to see the injustices and the things that are wrong once you tap in. And it's like just a click kind of, you know, it's like you're either not paying attention or you are, you know. Let me see here. So doing it for the right reason is very, very important. Now, when it comes to being activists, we have to be mindful of ourselves. Remember the other day I was talking about checking yourself and asking yourself why you're here and what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. Taking advantage of people and things like that is absolutely something that I don't stand for. And no one that I associate with stands for that, right? People that need our help, the fight that we're fighting for means people need our help. This means these people are in a defenseless type of situation, a situation where they need help. So to violate that makes it even more bad. You feel me? If you are in it for yourself, if you're in this fight for yourself, trying to get a name, if you're in this fight stealing money from people that are trying to get assistance from you, if you're in this fight and you're not doing the right thing and for the right reasons, eventually you will be exposed. You need to go over there and do something else. I have absolutely no tolerance for it at all. And if anyone, and I'm a information sharer, okay? If I find any type of information that needs to be put out there about that type of behavior, I definitely will. This is something that you should be doing from your heart, man. And it's not from your heart if you're taking advantage of people that need assistance, if you're taking advantage of people, period. So I ask that you check your heart and see what you got going on with yourself, and if you're doing the right thing. And if you're not doing the right thing, you can get on track, right? What it said, if at first you don't succeed, pick yourself up and try again. Get on track. Get on track. So let's see, what time is it? Okay. So we should be having our caller in about 3 minutes. So what are we going to be talking about next week? So next week, it'll be back on the grind. Next week, I hope to have, remember the sister that I've been telling y'all about the female Tanisha that died under suspicious circumstances, okay, out in Indiana. I got to talk with her sister, and she's going to be here next week, okay, God willing. And we're going to talk more about her sister. The things that she shared with me is, they was doing an autopsy, and they was going to do a toxicology report and things like that. And they told her that it would take only 30 days, at the max 30 days. It has exceeded that timeline. And we just want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. We definitely know that they won't do the right thing unless they're forced to in most cases, which is absolutely ridiculous, but that's where we're at right now. So I hope to have her on next week so we can hear more about what's going on with her sister and assist her family in getting some of the answers that they need. I could not imagine. I have, sisters. I have blood sisters, and I have those that I call my sisters. And I definitely could not imagine something like that. And, when it comes to people that are incarcerated, one of the reasons why it's hard for them to get the due justice that they get is because they're dehumanized by so many. So us as, activists, those that are involved in that type of fight, we have to try to find ways to remind people that these people are still human, right? And that comes from conversations and things like that, different outlets and stuff, like with my outlet, Prison Riot Radio. That's something that I use to show a real narrative of those that are incarcerated and formerly so, because a lot of times they're dehumanized and people have a perception of them that they believe is true. So being able to show them that that isn't the case is a way to definitely help people humanize them. Um, there's a lot of people that are incarcerated that are doing amazing things, not only for themselves and for their families, but for the community outside of themselves, for people in the facility and things like that. So we have to be sure that we are leading with those type of stories that way, so we can create a space to where people can start to see that those that are incarcerated and formerly incarcerated are human just like the rest of us, right? They're human just like the rest of us. Not everyone that's incarcerated or has been incarcerated is a criminal. And that's something that I think many people don't realize, right? So hopefully we can get these things changed. So I'm waiting for him to call. He should be calling very soon. We got about 1 minute. But in there, getting to the telephones can be a difficult task sometimes. So we're going to wait on the good brother. But how y'all doing? Y'all doing okay? Y'all been taking care of yourselves, getting some rest, making sure that you're eating well, taking care of your body, being good to yourself and being good to others. We definitely want to remember to take care of ourselves, because we are on this marathon, and marathon runners, we got to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves so we can make it to the end. We want to be sure that we are setting up our youth for success. We want to make sure we're going to pass them the torch instead of, having them have to light it all themselves. So we want to keep up our efforts, stay motivated, stay positive, and keep going towards the fight. Remember, like I told you the other week, our main focus as activists and social, justice pursuers is the pursuit of justice. So we should check our egos at the door. And that is the thing that we need to focus on, is the justice. Like I said, that's where conflict resolution comes in. It's a lot, man. Sometimes you might not like the person too much that's standing to your left or right for something that don't have nothing to do with anything, but you still need to be able to work together. If not in the same, you don't have to be in the same room, but this is an example. If, say that there was a team that was together, right? And they decide to separate, and there was something that they were fighting for together collectively, and the one side of the group, is over here, one is over there. They should still be sharing the same stuff, because the fight is still the same. They're just decided to do it separately from each other. But that one path that path still leads back to that one thing, and that is the pursuit of justice. So we got to make sure that we're checking our egos at the door, that we are remembering why we're here. And that's where it comes into checking yourself. Why are you here? Ask yourself why you're here. Sometimes you got to do that. All right, I think there might be a message from them letting me know that they'll be calling soon. Oh, there you go. Hello? Hello?
Hey, how you doing, Queen sis?
Hey, how you doing, King? Good?
I'm good.
Okay, yep, you right on time. I'm glad that you could join me this evening so that we can tell the good people just how it is about how it can be hard about trying to get assistance when you're behind the G wall, and just the efforts that it can take.
Oh, ain't no doubt. I love to share that with the people out there.
Okay, so first, give a little brief introduction of yourself, bro.
Okay. Hey, to all the viewers out there, listeners, my name is Leon Benson, and I've been wrongfully incarcerated for the past 23 years in the state of Indiana for the crime of murder. And from day one, I've been fighting the good fight, the hard fight, and it's been a tremendous pressure on me and my family, on the community. As you know, I'm just another statistic of another black male lost in the system. So if I'm in here, I'm not being a productive member of society to my community. So, that's where I'm at right now. Would you like to know more, Jay Rene?
Yeah, I know that you were saying, like, I can only imagine being in a situation like that to where you're innocent and you need assistance and nobody is listening to you. I know that when we had talked earlier, you was talking about how you was reaching out for help and it was no help to be found really. So can you kind of talk a little bit more about your experiences with that?
Okay. Well, when you're experiencing a particular trauma or struggle such as wrongful incarceration, it can look even more harsher on this end when you don't receive help or assistance. For one, we are not, rich people. My family, they are not rich, they working class people. They got to take care of children and things like that. So my resources ran out pretty early, the first 4 or 5 years. So I kept fighting and I proceeded to write the Innocent Projects at the time in the early 2000s when the inceptions, the first Innocent Projects and everything. We know the first one was in New York, but they spread it all over the nation. So I pretty much contact everyone that I could get my hands on. But my case was repeatedly denied because it lacked DNA evidence. However, from all the experts and from all the law school professors and legal scholars, they all knew that the number one cause of wrongful incarceration was eyewitness misidentification. So as early as as early as 2004, I wrote an article called DNA, which is an acronym for Denied Necessary Assistance. And because of that, my case was rejected and put to the side and never looked at for quite some time.
That's crazy. Dang, I don't even, that threw me off my feet for a second. So let me ask you, are there any other people that you know that are also wrongfully convicted?
I have encountered many men in here who are wrongfully incarcerated. So let me say this. I want to say this. I'm not downing the people who are trying to help the wrongfully incarcerated. It just was an overemphasis on DNA cases when a lot of cases didn't have DNA. It was eyewitness misidentification, or prosecutorial misconduct, or police misconduct. And I done read it to other individuals who suffered the same, apathy or lack of assistance because their case didn't involve DNA evidence.
Okay, hold on, bro. You there?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you, what do you think? What can we do better out here to assist when it comes to that type of thing? Like, is there anything that we could do?
Well, yes. It's a lot of things you can do. For one, you got to add value to yourself and to your case. So we got to become more than just a statistic of our case or another complaint. We have to become human. Therefore, we have to reach out to social media outlets, get these platforms, put your case on that, use Wikipedia to get your name out there, use organizing events that are inexpensive but are priceless in the impact that they make on the community, and exposing your case to the public. And a lot of times what I've seen, it was more of an interest in people's case for who they were or for other work that they was doing beyond their innocence. And those cases did get picked up. And, I know it's not fair, but this is life, because I can sit and complain all day, but complaining ain't getting me out of prison.
Right. So how do you stay motivated with all of this?
Well, one thing that keeps me motivated is my mantra, as you already know, is truth never dies. It's only be discovered. Now, sometimes, people can say these mantras or phrases and they become cliche. But I live it, not only with my case, but throughout my life. Truth never dies. So I keep pushing the envelope, turning over every rock that I can. And when I do, that's a new level of growth and freedom as I get closer to my ultimate goal at this point in my life of being exonerated.
I hope that goal comes to you, bro, for real. So let us know, how can we support you specifically? Is there anything we can do that can help you out?
Well, right now, by the grace of Yahweh, hallelujah, my case have received the attention by I caught my case in Indianapolis in 1998. So my case has caught the attention of the Criminal Integrity Unit of the Marion County Prosecution Office in Indianapolis, Indiana. However, even a bigger blessing, an additional blessing, is the San Francisco School of Law represents me, in their innocent project. My attorney is Laura Boslian, and definitely they all working together to come up with something to exonerate me. But in the meantime, your moral support is always needed. Going to social media platforms, showing your love, support, interacting with me. I still do what I can for my brothers and sisters out there in the struggle. Just because I'm here, I try to be an outlet of wellness and mindfulness while I'm in here. So while I got the time to sit around and think and read and plot, I want to use that for my brothers and sisters out there who are out there working and running their families, so I could be a extra burden lifted off of their lives by, thinking out and strategizing some of the things that they might not have time to do. So just reach out to me, interact with me. You can find me on Facebook, Free Leon Benson. You can find me on www.freeleonbenson.org. You'll see me on YouTube, in many places. So get at me on GTL. Hey, you know, and I think the reason why I say that to the people out there is the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that kept me going, even though I say truth never dies, is the support. You know, I know we didn't have a lot of money and things like that, but I will say my queen sister, Valerie Buford, done a phenomenal job of supporting me the best way she can and just being consistent and being real. And that's so important in here because if we start to, on the inside, if we feel like we don't have support out there, guess what? We become insecure in here, meaning that we don't have security and the luxury of having someone we can depend on, if not financially or in legal support, but at least in moral support.
Right.
And having that moral support is probably outside of me telling you about my mantra, truth never dies, and I'm discovering my own things. And here, outside of that, I would say that moral support out there that I received from my sister and other members of my family, including my daughter and my son, my mother, and an extended family out there for people throughout the world, throughout the United States at certain times that supported me morally. They let me know that I was important and they gave me value. And I think that's important on this side of the wall as well as the other side of the wall in society. We need to increase the value that we have in each other. And this is very important for returning citizens, right? So y'all support will be immense. It'll be prodigious. It'll be out of this world. So reach out to me any way you can. Pray with me. I'll pray for you. And we just let the process go as it may in a positive way.
All right, bro. You said it all there. I appreciate you so much for letting me get this time to chat with you. And we definitely, we'll chat again offline, but I appreciate you for coming on this evening. I think you said a mouthful, bro, and it was right on point.
Hey, thank you for having me, Queen Sister J. Rene. Keep doing what you're doing, sister. Hey, I'm feeling it from here, and because of people like you and others, like you, men and women, young people, older people, middle-aged people, black people, white people, green people, red people, because of people like you that go out and bring value to people who have no value or seemingly so, this is what's really putting a heartbeat and a spirit back in the movement of humanity. So I want to thank you, sister, for what you're doing, and I want to thank all your listeners for tuning in.
All right, for sure. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. So y'all heard it. Y'all heard it yourself straight from the mouths. Everything that I be telling y'all. They're humans, right? So it is part of our responsibility as activists to make sure that others see that they're humans as well, okay? And we see not only is it important for us to do that so that others will get involved in the fight, but it's important for them to see that and for them to know that so they can have their morale and keep their morale. As human beings, we should always want to make sure that we're taking care of each other, right? Because we're the main honchos here on earth. So how we treat each other, how we interact with each other, and all of these things are important for a better earth, okay? So I hope to see y'all here next weekend. I appreciate y'all for tuning in with me, Okay. If y'all ever want any information, y'all can text that number right there, 914-655-4993. And with that, if you just want to have information, just text info, and you'll be asked your state or what exactly you're interested in being involved with. And depending on your response to that, it will determine what you get as far as text to you. So please make sure that you add the National Plus Coalition so you can keep up with me, keep up with the other shows, and keep up with the great things that we're trying to do here. And make sure that you add me also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the J Rene. Okay. And just check us out and see what we're doing. I appreciate y'all for taking the time to watch me. And I am out. Y'all have a good evening, and make sure that y'all have a very, very safe weekend. Y'all be well.